do everything that I can in the others.
Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Yes, gosh, the week is flying by. Welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up on the show today, call it information overload, but it's a good thing. In this case, I'm making reference to a press conference with President Trump in Maryland, Governor Wes Moore. We'll take you there live. The latest on the Sean Diddy Combs sex crimes trial. Yes, a lot of twists and turns. And did you hear the UFC's Quentin Rampage Jackson? Try saying that fast 3 times. He's going to stop by the Live Zone to tell us about a new venture he's working on. All that and more coming up on the show, but how about we kick it off with some amazing weather with an amazing guy. Tucker Barnes joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, sir.
Guy, good morning. Oh, no, afternoon, morning, midday.
Yeah,
it's midday. There we go. I got close. Sorry. Get here very early. I lose track.
How are you, sir?
I am great. You were absolutely right about yesterday. It was a beautiful, beautiful day, wasn't it?
I loved it, yeah. For the last couple of days, it's just been a beauty.
It has. The weekend was fabulous. Speaking of, and I'm going to show you the weekend forecast here in just a minute. Next weekend looks great as well, although it might be a little cool for 1 or 2 people for Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. That's all. Well,
should we do some weather together?
Let's do it, sir.
All right. You approve of our Tuesday so far?
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, going forward from here, we got clouds this afternoon, more late afternoon, early evening, and at some point here we'll be mostly cloudy. But we've had a nice start to the day, and it should be a nice afternoon, and then it'll be dry. Got plans, mowing the lawn, working outside.
Not me.
Were you a lifeguard, by the way?
No, I hire somebody to do that.
Were you a lifeguard when you were a teenager?
How did you know?
Were you?
Yeah, how did you know?
I don't know. You look like a lifeguard.
Yeah.
With that physique of yours, and yeah, you know how to blow that whistle just right.
Yeah.
See?
Well, yeah, I can't.
Slow down. I was the poorly behaved person that you were yelling at.
I'm pretty sure.
61 in Washington, 60 Dulles. We are going to be in the low 70s today. We should be in the mid to upper 70s. And by should, that would be our average temperature, so a little below that, but still a pleasant afternoon. We are starting to see a few clouds roll in from the west, and we'll see more of those. You see the clouds back into West Virginia there out near Elkins. That'll roll in by late afternoon, so we'll go mostly cloudy later today. What's on the horizon here? What's knocking on the door? Well, rain for Wednesday and Thursday. So it's not going to rain all day tomorrow, but we'll have periods of rain starting by daybreak tomorrow morning. Cloudy. Very cool. Tomorrow's daytime high only about 60 degrees, if you can believe it. That's really chilly for late May. And we'll do it all over again on Thursday. And again, it won't be raining every minute, but potentially some pretty good rains Wednesday and Thursday. And the good news is we'll get it out of here in time for our holiday weekend. Okay, this is our computer models trying to give the region another inch plus of rain. That will put a nice dent in the deficit. Remember, last week, much of the area picked up 3 to 5 inches of rain.
Yeah.
It looks like just enough to give us a good soaking, but not, give us any dangerous flooding concerns like last week. So we should be in pretty good shape. But again, this will be Wednesday and Thursday, clouds and occasional rain. We'll gradually dry out on Friday, and your weekend looks fabulous. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all dry. A little cool. Upper 60s, low 70s, but I know a lot of the pools open this weekend, a lot of people going to the beach. It should be a fine weekend as far as dry conditions.
As far as I'm concerned, who cares about the rain? It's the weekend that matters.
Exactly. Let's do the rain, and then we'll do a nice weekend.
All right. Appreciate you, Tucker. Tucker Barnes joining us right here on the Live Zone. Guys, if you haven't already done so yet, you see it right there on your screen. Get out your cell phone, scan the QR code, and download the Fox local app. That way you can take your weather on the go. All right, guys, one of the stories we're following for you this hour, a 2-alarm fire tore through a 3-story mansion in the 2400 block of Kalorama Road in Northwest D.C. early this morning, prompting evacuations of neighboring homes. Now, that blaze sparked off just hours after firefighters responded to the same residence Monday night for an earlier fire. The mansion backs up to the residence of former President Barack Obama. Homeowners told Fox 5 that property is currently undergoing renovations. Monday's fire, reported just after 9:30, was contained to the first floor and was determined to be caused by an electrical issue. That according to the D.C. Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly. Now, this morning's fire, well, happened just after 6 a.m. and spread rapidly, engulfing the entire structure and forcing firefighters to then evacuate. Well, this afternoon, we are learning new details about one of the victims from Friday's storm that brought down trees on the GW Parkway. Cleanup still underway, and part of the parkway at this hour remains shut down. One of the victims has been identified as 61-year-old Dr. Marla Holden of Fort Washington. In a statement to Fox 5, her husband said she worked as a project manager at George Washington's Mount Vernon for the past 6 years. He described her as a force, someone who, as a single mother, put herself through college. She was also a business owner and a world-traveled photographer. Dr. Holden was one of 2 women killed when trees fell onto their vehicles during Friday's afternoon storm. Fairfax County has not yet identified the second victim, who died when a tree crashed down on her car on Fry Road, not far from the first scene. Well, switching gears to politics, it is a busy day on Capitol Hill. You're taking a live look right now at RFK testifying about, well, you guessed it, his budget. Let's take a listen in.
Statement, and then I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, Secretary Kennedy, I do want to make sure that we correct the record on the lead program that we've been discussing back and forth last week in this. There are no staff on the ground deployed to Milwaukee to address the lead exposure of children in schools, and there are no staff left in that office at CDC because they have all been fired. I look forward to working with you to reestablish that. It sounds like you have a commitment to that, but we need staff in order to make it function. I do have some further questions for the record, and understand that we will have an ability to submit those.
Yeah. So this ends our hearing today. I really thank you and my fellow committee members. You had full attendance today, so you're a popular guy, but a very thoughtful conversation, and thank you to Secretary Kennedy. For any senators who wish to ask additional questions, questions for the record will be due 1 week after the full budget request is released. The hearing record will also remain open until then. For members who wish to submit additional materials for the record, the subcommittee will stand in recess, and thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman Capito. And thank you, Senator Baldwin.
Well, we'll call it somewhat of a ping-pong match today. Yet again, RFK testifying about his proposed budget. Let's take it now to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who happens to be doing the same.
Repression is eating away at foundational values of our democracy. Back then, it took one voice, Attorney Joseph Welch, to cut through the hysteria with the simple question that marked the beginning of the end of that shameful era. He asked Senator McCarthy, have you no sense of decency? And I would ask you the same, Secretary Rubio. But you have shown through your words and your actions what the answer is. And I have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may sit.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job based on what I know.
Well, that's
about
just
your
a
record
flippant
and what you
statement,
stand
Mr.
for.
Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
I didn't ask
Senator,
questions.
please let the Secretary have
I'd be
the floor.
happy to, but then I can respond to his
Your time's up, Senator, and willfully used, I might add.
Well-
your remarks do not represent the view of this committee.
Well, Mr.
Secretary,
Chairman,
please.
Well, I'd like to. I can't respond to everything he said because much of these are untrue, but I'll go through a few. First of all, I'm actually very proud of the work we've done with USAID. For example, I don't regret cutting $10 million for male circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't know how that makes us stronger and more prosperous as a nation.
I raised
don't regret
Sudan, Mr.
psychosocial
Secretary.
support services.
I
for
raised
USAID.
Sudan, Mr. Secretary.
Can I
not
respond, Mr.
Mozambique.
Chairman, or do I?
Senator, I'd ask you to suspend. You had 7 straight minutes of
I chose to
railing on-
use my time that way, Mr. Chairman. That's my right to
Please
use my
suspend
time that way.
Secretary Rubio.
Well, I can go on. I mean, there's other things here. We spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent $14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list. In the case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one you had a margarita with. And that guy is a human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear. In the days to come,
Mr.
you're
Chairman,
going to see who you went to
look,
defend.
Senator,
I'm sorry,
please,
Mr. Chairman.
Secretary
No.
Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated.
Yet again, a somewhat contentious conversation, if you will, between the Secretary of State, Mr. Marco Rubio, and the committee as he, well, tries to get his proposed budget passed sometime in the near future. Staying in the realm of politics, President Trump met with House Republicans on Capitol Hill this morning to make a personal pitch for passing his sweeping tax and spending cuts package. Now, Trump warned Republicans in the room to stay away from changes to Medicaid. Well, that's one of the many things he discussed. What else did he discuss? You're about to find out. I'm joined now by none other than Mr. Arif Halaby, political radio host, AM 870, back here on the Live Zone. Arif, always good to see you, sir. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, Guy. Appreciate it.
All right, let's talk about what happened this morning on Capitol Hill. We know that President Trump made his way down to Capitol Hill to, in essence, really try to smooth out all the wrinkles surrounding the great, big, beautiful deal ahead of a floor vote later this week. He, in essence, really trying to move that needle. The president stating that, well, they should not touch Medicaid. I cannot use the colorful language that I was told he used with regard to that. But we know that as it stands right now, according to President Trump, if passed, it's a good thing. If not passed, Americans will face a 68% tax increase and 85% reduction in drugs. What say you, sir, about all of this?
Yeah, the 2017 tax bill is set to expire this year, and that's a big deal because the president really helped the economy, spur on the economy by putting money back into the middle class. The biggest issue people don't realize is that when you raise taxes, you pull money out of the system. Now, under Joe Biden, we raised the amount, about 500,000 federal government workers. That's a lot of workers that need to be paid. And so hence there needs to be spending. And that has really led down this road of, are we reducing taxes or are we increasing spending? The biggest problem President Trump had with his great tax cut bill under the same idea that Ronald Reagan had was this. If you don't cut the spending and you stop the money coming in, now you have the deficits. So he's in a big problem at the moment because you have to either stop the spending or you have to increase taxes. It's going to be a difficult world for those folks.
Yeah, obviously Republicans can only afford to lose several votes or else this whole thing goes to the wayside. Speaking of Republicans, we know that, well, with regard to the Republican president, Mr. Trump, so many folks have stated that if passed, this will in essence solidify his legacy. And we all know, it's no secret, it really is all about a legacy, is it not?
Yeah, I think the legacy would include something like the Welfare to Work program in 1996, I believe, that President Clinton passed when he had to tie an attack to the center after losing the midterms by a shellacking margin, if you will. So he became a lot more of a moderate Democrat. In fact, you can go back and listen to many others indicate that welfare to work was kind of the mantra of the left at the time. But the left wing today doesn't want that provision in the bill. I think what that does is the waste, fraud, and abuse would be curtailed specifically with the reduction of these federal workforces. Think about this for a second. The amount of federal employees that are at all-time highs as at the moment, it's interesting because we have AI, computers, efficient software. Why do we still have such a massive federal behemoth? I think it has to do with the unions and the funding of the Democrat Party and the left wing. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem that will have to get worked out hopefully sometime in the near future. Speaking of problems, depending on what side of the aisle you sit on, let's talk about this Boeing jet, in essence, gifted from Qatar. We now know that according to one report, President Trump reached out to Qatar asking for that Boeing jet. According to the Pentagon, they then reached out to Qatar with the White House's blessing. Initially, it was supposed to be a sale. Ultimately, Qatar decided to gift the plane. Do you have any issues with this, Arif?
I do a little bit. $3.5 billion is what it costs to build and outfit two 747s for Air Force One. That's a lot less, that's a lot more than the $400 million it would cost for this jet. The reason, because you have to outfit it with all of the anti-missile, the communications equipment. So it's a very different type of a plane. I understand the president likes luxury and he likes the idea of having a jet. My problem is get the semantics right. If you ask for it, you ask for it. If you're buying it, you're buying it. Now, my understanding is the president asked the Pentagon to buy it from them, and they said, no, you can have it. That's a very typical Arab thing, coming from an Arab family myself. It's very similar to walking through the Saudi Arabian palace, and if you see something you like that's a beautiful watch, or I love that carpet, the royal family is to gift that to you. It's a very cultural thing. So I don't know if the State Department knew that or if the president knew it, but I guess they should have been a bit more clear that they asked for it, we're going to pay for it. Instead of paying, they received it as a gift.
Well,
I
in
can
that
see
case,
that.
Arif, I won't ask you if you own a private jet, because if you do,
No, not yet.
I'd like a private
go
jet,
for
sir.
a ride. I'd take you anywhere. We could go anywhere.
Yes, sir. Let's move on to President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. We now know that they spoke for 2 hours on the phone yesterday. It's the third known time the two leaders spoke since Trump was inaugurated back in January. All this as the president grows increasingly frustrated with the Russian president's refusal to strike a peace deal with Ukraine. Will this deal ever happen, Arif?
Well, it's interesting to think about the U.S. kind of pushing back or slow paying, if you will, Ukraine. Ukraine wasn't given very much money except to fund its pensions and except to allow it to bribe, whatever you might want to call it, pay off government officials to stay in the country, to stay leadership. And of course, Zelensky will be very, very wealthy by the end of this. People say, well, that's just the way it goes. That's the devil that you're, the cards that you're dealt and the devil you deal with. I think President Putin is a bit more pragmatic about it. He doesn't need that kind of money. All he wants is something very simple. He wants the respect of Europe and he wants the respect of the United States political system. He's not going to get it doing what he's doing. President Trump and Mr. Putin, they've had back channel communications prior to even being elected, and then of course through the inauguration. So there's always been second and third tier communications. We want it to stop. We'll see if President Putin does as well.
Yeah. All right, Arif, we'll end with this, and that is reaction obviously continues to pour in following word that former President Biden has an advanced form of prostate cancer. President Trump has since suggested that Biden delayed sharing his cancer diagnosis. Do you have a response to that?
Well, 2022, he let it slip that he had cancer, and it just kind of slipped under the radar. Not a lot of folks really pursued it in the media. So I understand that there's a bit of skepticism. Right now, we have, well, some hope that he'll get treated. It sounds like it's a treatable form of cancer, maybe not curable, but certainly treatable. I think the bigger picture is in the long run, you're going to look at somebody like the Democrat Party doing the cover-up. Had they put Jill Biden in place of, well, the advisor that she should have been, put somebody else in there. She was the first woman, spouse rather, leading a cabinet meeting. Can you imagine that, right? So my concern is this. The Biden administration has left the Democrat Party in shambles. If I was a Democrat, I would be embarrassed and really mistrusting the entire system of the Democrat Party. It has to be redone with this cover-up.
Yet again, we've been speaking with Arif Halaby. Always good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You. Appreciate it. Be well.
All right, guys, let's take it to the amazing state of Maryland, where Maryland Governor Westmore now delivering remarks as he signs numerous bills into law. Let's take a listen in.
To the Maryland State House, everybody, and also, as you all see, the home of the Blue Angels practicing right above us. And as we move towards the end of this bill signing season, I want to take a look back at some of the challenges that we had to overcome this year and had to overcome them together. That it wasn't just that this was a legislative season of challenge, it was also a season of change, where the obstacles that we're up against did not change from month to month or from week to week. We all saw they were changing from day to day. That over the past 3 months, we endured the firing of thousands of government workers through Elon Musk's Doge project. That we endured the launch of an unnecessary and ideological trade war with our allies. That we endured the, in many ways, unauthorized cancellation of critical projects like the FBI building in Prince George's County. That we endured a tumbling stock market and the contraction of the American economy for the first time in years. That we endured the start of regional and a national financial crisis. That we saw Trump downgrades on the credit of Washington, D.C., the credit of the state of Maryland, the credit of institutions like the Smithsonian, and yes, the credit of the United States of America. that the chaos that this new White House has enacted has taken a daily toll on our people and our future, and every single day as we were once we hit sine die. And truthfully, we are not in the same place right now that we were on sine die. The world has continued to change. We had to be nimble in the face of this uncertainty and be courageous in the face of chaos. This was not just about balancing a budget. It was about weathering two very distinct and individual storms: a financial crisis and a fiscal crisis, and a new White House that is determined to attack our economy. But in Maryland, we do what we always do when the chips are down. We got together and we rallied. And together we have delivered a responsible, balanced budget that meets this moment. We turned a $3 billion inherited deficit into a surplus while still reserving 8% in the rainy day fund above the recommended levels. We made over $2 billion in targeted cuts, which was hard, but it's the largest amount of cuts that we've seen from a Maryland budget in 18 years. And as the Trump administration raised prices, we made sure that for families in Maryland, we did things like cut taxes for the middle class and actually ensured that we have an income tax reform plan that for 94% of Marylanders, they either got a tax cut or saw no changes in their income tax at all. It wasn't easy, it was not simple, and the success does not belong to one person or one group. It belongs to everyone. And I want to thank our team. I want to thank our cabinet. I want to thank our DBM secretary for the hard work that she continues to do. I want to thank our Chief of Staff, Bacon Harris, and our Deputy Chiefs of Staff. I want to thank Jeremy Baker and the outstanding legislative team. I want to thank Eric Lukey. I want to thank everybody within the Moore Miller administration for their work. I want to thank our presiding officers, Senate President Ferguson and also Speaker Jones, and all of their staff. I want to thank all the members of the General Assembly for all the hard work they put in, and I specifically want to thank our chairs, Chair Atterbury, Chair Barnes, Chair Gazzone, all of the stakeholders who testified on behalf of this year's budget through the legislative session and who helped us to refine our vision. Because what I do know is that the decisions that we're making in this state do not fall neatly in partisan red or blue lines. We care more about solving problems than we do scoring points. And we know that the strategy is working. That just in the time in the past 2 years, we've created, along with the private sector and our private sector partners, around 100,000 new jobs, more in the past 2 years than our predecessor created in 2 terms. We brought unemployment to national lows and brought job growth to national highs. And in the face of the chaos from Washington, D.C., the rating agency Fitch affirmed Maryland's AAA bond rating. We refuse to slow our progress in growing Maryland's economy and winning the decade. And in addition to our budget, I want to highlight just a few bills that don't just help us just to survive this moment, but help us to thrive. The first, I want to talk about a bill that I introduced in January called the Procurement Reform Act. Now, procurement reform is not sexy. It doesn't even roll off your tongue sexy. But it is absolutely essential in delivering economic growth and building pathways to work, wages, and wealth. This legislation expands the Small Business Reserve Program so our small businesses are not sidelined by massive organizations. We are empowering the departments of veterans and military families to set aside contracts for businesses for veterans run by veterans. We're ensuring that minority-owned contractor participation goals are binding when modifications are made to contracts. We're ensuring that our largest contractors hire partners and workers that reflect the full and beautiful diversity of the state of Maryland. And we are updating the application process. So we stop penalizing small technical mistakes that largely disadvantage small, Black-owned, minority, and women-owned businesses. This legislation will ensure that our small and minority-owned businesses compete on an even playing field. And I'm very proud to sign this bill into law today. Second, I want to thank Speaker Jones for her leadership on House Bill 1253, establishing the State Office of Social and Economic Mobility. Her legislation creates a new cabinet-level agency that will ensure we uphold our commitment to equity in the state of Maryland. It will be the nerve center of our work to narrow the racial wealth gap, expand home ownership, uplift entrepreneurs of color, and close the foundational disparities that contribute to inequality from food insecurity to education. These are the issues I fought for before I was sworn in as governor, before I even thought about the idea of running for governor. And they're the priorities our administration will continue to address with increased focus and intentionality. And so, Madam Speaker, we're not just excited to get this agency up and running. I'm thankful for the chance to make sure that we're going to get this right. So our work to protect Marylanders from the ravages that we are seeing from our neighbors to the south is only just the beginning. But if there's one thing we were able to prove in this session, it is this, that in Maryland, we can look that challenge squarely in the face and refuse to blink, because we will meet crisis with courage. You don't just sit here in the State House on bill signing day by the charity of others. You get here because we agreed to do the work. And so while it is my signature that will enact these bills into law, it's all of your hands that hold the pen. I'm talking about Marylanders like Vinnie DeMarco, who has been a champion for affordable health care for decades, who was here in Annapolis and who came to Annapolis all throughout session to call for an expansion of the Maryland Prescription Drug Affordability Board, and today we will sign that bill into law. Vinnie, your fingerprints are all over the history of our state, and we're grateful. We're talking about Marylanders like Mia Russell, who came to Annapolis to advocate for a bill that ensures that we have AEDs in our public libraries. This legislation is called the Ramondo Russell Act, named after her late husband. And today, we will sign that bill into law. Mia, can you please raise your hand or stand so we can acknowledge you? Your fingerprints are all over the history of this state. I'm talking about Marylanders like Blanca and Michael, and Joseph and Gypsy, and the family and loved ones of Agent Davis Martinez. Agent Martinez was a victim of a horrific crime, and he lost his life in the service of the state of Maryland. But his family and his loved ones turned that pain into purpose. They came to Annapolis to advocate for legislation that would help ensure what happened to Davis would never happen to anyone ever again. And they proved what it means to be Maryland strong. To look tragedy in the eyes and say, we can't rewrite the past, but we can change the future. Today, I'm proud to sign the Davis Martinez Public Employee Safety and Health Act into law. In the spirit of service and progress, I would like to call up Davis's family to join me up here while I present them with today's first ceremonial pens, because their fingerprints are all over the history of this state. God bless you all, and thank you for making us better. I now have the honor of turning the podium over to my friend and partner in the work, our Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller.
Governor, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here with all of you. The bill signed today will bring closure to 2025 legislative session. Each bill represents months, if not years, of hard work and collaboration. So thank you to everyone who brought these bills to life. And we have so many wins, as Governor Moore talked about earlier. We took a budget deficit, $3.3 billion, that was a decade in the making, and turned it into a $300 million surplus. And in the past 2.5 years, we created over 100,000 jobs, more than the previous administration added in 8. And we've achieved one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation. And finally, we've seen the most significant drop in violent crime in more than a decade. With the statewide homicide down 32% since 2021. These wins belong to every one of you, as the governor said. And this kind of progress doesn't just happen. It takes vision, it takes conviction, and it takes a leader who doesn't flinch when the moment gets hard. Governor Moore has been that leader. Governor, thank you so much for your extraordinary leadership. And as we celebrate the progress we've made, we also pause to reflect that this Memorial Day, we prepare as a nation to remember those who gave their lives in service to others, not just in the uniforms they wore, but in the lives they led. In that reflection, we're reminded of a deeper truth. Love is service, not emotion. It's not just a feeling, but a commitment. It's how we show up for our families, for our communities, for each other. Maryland parole agent Davis Giovanni Martinez understood that. And at just 33 years old, Agent Martinez was killed in the line of duty. He was the son of proud immigrants. And like so many children of immigrants, he carried deep responsibility with quiet devotion, helping care for his brother Joseph. Yes, you. Loving his brother Michael, Gypsy, and all the family members, supporting his mother Blanca, and building a life of service rooted in love and purpose. He was the first in his family to graduate from college, a milestone he reached not just with great determination, but with a deep sense of duty to those who came before him. To the Martinez family, your loss is immeasurable. Maryland holds you deep in our hearts and our prayers. And today, through the Davis-Martinez Public Employees Safety and Health Act, we honored your loved one's memory by strengthening the protections for the men and women who serve us each and every single day. To Senator Kramer and Delegate Solomon, thank you for sponsoring this bill. As a fellow Montgomery County resident, I know this loss is deeply personal. So this Memorial Day, may we remember that freedom is never free. It's built on the sacrifices of those who gave everything, not just for our country, but for each of us. May their example remind us, even in the hardest moments, we are called to show up with love, act with courage, and stand up for one another. Let us live in a way that honors the sacrifices that they made for us and by us. Thank you. And now it's my great pleasure to bring to the podium Senate President Bill Ferguson.
Thank you, Madam Lieutenant Governor. Thank you, Mr. Governor, and it's always a pleasure to be here with my partner in the work, Speaker Jones. To the Martinez family, I just want to say I am so unbelievably sorry for your loss, and the state of Maryland truly grieves with you. Your loved one is representative of the thousands and thousands of dedicated state workers that show up to work every single day to serve others, and we are so deeply sorry for your loss. And we hope that this piece of legislation that will soon become law is one small step to honor your loved one's memory in the name of the thousands of public servants that show up for Maryland every single day. Thank you for being here with us today, and we hope that we can do you proud as we implement this to its fullest extent and protect others from the horrific harms that your loved one had to face. It's always hard to transition from that, but it does matter that this sense of service and purpose is what brings us all here together. This is our final bill hearing, our bill signing of the 2025 session, one that was by far the most challenging one that I certainly have experienced in my 15 years, and that continues to be incredibly difficult because of the uncertainty that we see and the volatility that's coming out of Washington. Before I go too much further, I do want to say thank you to those who I have the honor of working with on an everyday basis. If the Senate chairs, subcommittee chairs, and members could either just please stand or raise your hands that if you're already standing, and just I just want to say thank you. It is truly the honor of a lifetime to work with such talented elected officials who are the leaders that Maryland has needed in this time of unbelievable uncertainty, and have fought to find ways to balance competing interests and move these big issues forward this year. We did a lot of important work, and we'll celebrate a number of those, from the prescription drug affordability bill that Senator Guile had a huge part in leading, that all members of the General Assembly were able to push forward. But we knew at the beginning we had two jobs to accomplish. One was to do our constitutional duty of passing a balanced budget, and the second was to leave Annapolis having been able to effectively deal with the challenge that is the rising costs of electricity. I'm very pleased to say that in this case, the two main objectives of the 2025 session have been achieved, and is because of the work that we were able to do together. You heard from the governor and the lieutenant governor a number of points about this balanced budget. I think it's important to remind folks where we were, taking a $3.3 billion deficit and turning it into what ended up being a $2.4 billion cash reserve and surplus. Thank you to the Secretary and for all of the members of the General Assembly who worked together. This was not easy. It was challenging. There was not a single easy decision as part of how to make this possible. And it was done with $2 billion in cuts and $1.2 billion of targeted revenue proposals. This yielded 94%, as the governor said, of Marylanders who will pay the same or less in personal income taxes, and fairly attributes dollars to other places across our economy. What is really important is what this budget actually represents. It's serving about $1.5 million, 1.5 million Marylanders through Medicaid. We have an increase, despite this, the challenges, of 7.3% of spending for our public school systems, our competitive advantage. We're spending $500 million dedicated to transportation and aging infrastructure, $181 million restored for the developmental disabilities community, $139 million to grow our private sector economy, $120 million in police aid, and finally $100 million to fight climate pollution, things that we know are absolutely essential, and billions of dollars more to make government work well. The other objective that we had this year was to deal with the skyrocketing cost of energy. Marylanders at this winter received unacceptably high energy bills. This wasn't just a temporary spike, it was a wake-up call for the challenges that we face as demand for electricity continues to rise. We know that older coal plants and oil plants are being retired based on private action, and we have not built up enough alternative energy to fill it fast enough. And so the General Assembly had to act. This year, we passed the most substantive energy affordability package that Maryland has seen in several decades. First, with the Next Generation Energy Act, Senate Bill 937, we're putting money back into the pockets of Marylanders. A $200 million refund that's an average of $80 per household, split between the highest points of energy consumption of the year in the height of summer and the height of winter. We're also accelerating the development of cleaner, in-state energy sources, reducing our reliance on imported energy. We're capping utility gas spending, ensuring that multi-year rate plans are good for customers, not just for utilities and companies. And we're removing the polluting waste incineration from our renewable energy incentives. Another important component, one that I know that the chair of our EEE committee, as well as our chair of economic matters, spent a great deal of time, was making sure that the data centers that are being built and these large energy consumers, that they pay their fair share as they become a part of our economy. We also passed the Renewable Energy Certainty Act, Senate Bill 931, which is providing a clear path forward for solar and battery storage projects to eliminate local barriers and allow local government to join in community solar programs. It is essential that we have more affordable and cleaner Maryland-made energy. As we face the challenges of this year, I do want to highlight one last piece, and that is one of our most important job-creating aspects that our chair of the Capital Budget Subcommittee says all the time. The biggest job-creating bill that we pass every single year is Maryland's capital budget. And our capital budget we did in the way that Marylanders should be proud of, with strength and with hammers in hand. From hospitals to highways, from classrooms to cultural centers, we are laying the foundation for Maryland's futures with dollars in the ground. Our capital budget tops $5 billion, which is an investment in the people and places that make Maryland strong. Ladies and gentlemen, together as a team, we chose long-term stability over short-term gain. We chose clean, more reliable energy over short-term fixes. And as always, we chose to put Marylanders first. Colleague in this work that I just am so grateful to be able to work with on a regular basis, Speaker Adrienne Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. And before I start, to follow you, if you're a member of the House of Delegates, either stand or wave your hand. Thank you. As we sign our final list of bills for the year, we put our final mark on the work undertaken by this legislature during the 2025 legislative session. This work was done thoughtfully. It was done responsibly, and it was done with purpose. This work stands in stark contrast to the legalization we are witnessing in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, we knew this instability was coming, and that we in the General Assembly had to show there was a better path forward. So before session began, I started working on House Bill 1253 to protect historically disenfranchised communities in our state, to provide them with better access to a centralized hub that can connect them with resources and economic opportunities, to form one cabinet-level agency to oversee all social equity programs in our state, as the governor mentioned earlier. And today, I am proud that we are signing this legislation into law to establish the Maryland Department of Social and Economic Mobility. When we say social and economic mobility, let's be very clear that what we are talking about. We are talking about the strength of our diversity. We're talking about promoting equity, and we are talking about creating inclusion in all spaces. I'm not afraid to say it because for me, this bill is personal. I've lived through the policies of enclosure. I've walked on to an unlevel playing field. I've been kept out of rooms, meetings, and buildings solely because of my race and gender. We've come a long way since these times because of policies signed in this room, and I refuse to let us go back. Today, that promise also extends to the immigrant communities in our state. We know the fear felt in Maryland's immigrant communities is real right now. So this session, we passed House Bill 1222, the Maryland Values Act, to institute some protections for immigrant enforcement in our state. Here's the bottom line. Marylanders should feel safe while seeking medical care, pursuing education, and going to church. I want to thank Judiciary Chair Luke Clippinger, Vice Chair Sandy Bartlett, Majority Leader David Moon, and Delegate Nicole Williams for all their work on this important piece of legislation. But as we see the suspension of due process, and as we see a continued erosion of basic human dignity in our immigrant communities, we know this work is far from over. Regardless of what happens on the federal level with immigration, with health care, and with other social safety nets over the next several months, the leaders in this room are ready to act now and act fast to protect the state and its values. We know that responsible governing is a real answer to chaos and dysfunction, and that the work of public service can still make a real difference. And with that, let's sign these bills.
All right, there we have it. Maryland Governor Wes Moore, flanked by the Lieutenant Governor and others, as, well, not only does he deliver remarks, but signs numerous bills. The governor making mention that during his term, the state of Maryland made a $3 billion deficit into a $300 million surplus. We'll take our first break. We'll be right back. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone.
Under Democratic control, the
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. You are taking a live look at the White House, where it sort of looks different, doesn't it? Well, in just a minute, we are expecting a White House press conference. However, there is somewhat of a twist. Today is Take Your Sons and Daughter to Work Day, and so we have been told that apparently several children, in essence, will be conducting that press conference at the White House. Can't wait for that. When it happens, we'll take you there live right here on the Live Zone. In the meantime, calling one, calling all. Did you hear? The Kappa Alpha Psi Foundation now hosting its inaugural celebration of Achievement Gala, set to take place July 3rd in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, under the theme celebrating and supporting our youth, this black tie gala will honor young trailblazers and organizations making an impact across the country. Joining us now to discuss this is Mr. Donald Bland, chairman of the Celebration of Achievement Committee, and he joins us right here on the Live Zone. Mr. Bland, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good day. How are you today?
I am doing just fine and glad we were able to get to you. It's been a busy day, and so let's get to it before, yet again, I have to take another press conference. In this case, I want to talk about the foundation's long-standing legacy in championing education and mentorship. That has always been your key, sir.
Yes, it has. We go back in time to the early 60s when the foundation was formed, and it was formed for the express purpose of supporting our youth, of giving back to and developing and mentoring all of the youth of our generations and generations to come. It's been very successful, especially, I would say, in the last 8 years. We have really raised substantial amounts of money through the generosity of corporate as well as individual sponsors and donors.
Case in point, I'm looking at my notes here, but in 2024 alone, the foundation awarded, get this, some $125,000 in scholarships to high schools, undergraduates, and graduate students, rather, with grade goals to expand support in 2025. This is a big deal. The proof is in the pudding, as they say, sir.
That's exactly right. And as you noted, this is our inaugural Celebration of Achievement Gala, which means it's an evening event. Typically, the Celebration of Achievement, which that theme was coined in 2017, has been a luncheon. And we expect with the gala involvement to be able to not only have members of the fraternity and their guests, but also the communities in which we are serving. So it's a big deal. We're hoping to have somewhere around 800 people in attendance because it is an evening event, and I call it a fundraiser as well as a fun raiser, which means we have the opportunity to enjoy some really first-class entertainment, a delicious dinner, a short program. Also, there'll be a live auction, and there will also be a cocktail hour. So there's something for everybody here, but number one is to come out and support, as you mentioned, these scholarships. Just to note, that $124,000 was done during a virtual Celebration of Achievement, which is a piece that we've added in when we don't have the actual Celebration of Achievement event live. So we know that we have the capability through the generosity of our donors, and we expect to expand on that and to increase our opportunities to support these young people who are doing such a great job with their academic achievement.
Mr. Bland, as we wrap up, folks that want to find out more information, how would one go about to do so and help support the cause, if you will?
Yes, we have a variety of marketing tools out there. We are on all of the social media platforms. We are sending direct mail to donors, to individuals, to organizations throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area. And the Divine Nine and other organizations that are here. So there are a multiplicity of ways in which you can access our platform and make a registration, make a donation, and of course, top of the line would be a sponsorship.
Truly one of a kind. Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. Bland. Let's pull it full screen up with regard to the event itself. Set to get underway July 3rd. You see it right there on your screen. It's yet again entitled Celebration Achievement, the Gala event. And if you haven't already done so, don't get your tickets now, but get them right now. Sir, this has truly been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for your time and hosting us. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Yet again, we're going to take you back to the White House, where any minute now we are awaiting a press conference. Yes, a White House briefing, but it looks a little different to you, doesn't it? Why? Well, today is officially Take Our Sons and Daughters to Work Day, with an event. It's going to take place not only there, but on the South Lawn as well. This is a 30-year tradition that really aims to show children that they can aspire to work in any field. I should also make mention it's an educational program in the U.S. where, well, as you can just see, parents take their kids to work, and the day is designed to help children explore the workforce. I cannot wait for this to happen. It's all things cuteness happening at the White House. We'll take a quick break, guys. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone.
I just played against Oh, really? Really? What's the phrase used in that? Bender. Is it bender? I made incidental contact with him. I got to the bench and I told the security guy, I was unintentional, but I'm on the bench and I'm number 420, so the security guys are out here. Detox stole my Oh, I work with Detox. I was doing like anonymous report because I didn't want to catch it. Yeah, Detox put it all on the record. Are you excited? No way. We'll just hear for the thing. Yeah, I'll take a thing. I'll get up on the podium. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Hey, yo. Freddie. Hey. Yeah, you got a good one? Oh, Fred, there's a professional picture. Oh, we got it. Yeah?
Oh my gosh. Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks. All right, you gotta smile.
Yeah. So cheeky. Yeah. Smile.
All right, look at Isaac.
I wanted to see
Here, hold up your chocolate.
Big cheese.
Big cheese. Aha. Thank you.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Question: what do you get when you mix steel chairs, plenty of smack talk, and a few suplexes here and there? Oh, of course, you can't forget about the differences between U.S. and Canada. Settled the old-fashioned way. Try the official Border Brawl. Yes, you heard me say it, the Border Brawl. It's the live international wrestling super spectacle, and the event is all set to take place May 25th, beginning at 5 p.m. at the Niagara Falls Convention Center on the Canadian side of the border. By the way, did I mention it's going to feature a number of superstars, including this guy you see right here, UFC's Quentin Rampage Jackson, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, my friend, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Good to see you, too.
I got to tell you, man, when it comes to, let's say, kicking butt, I think your name should be right next to that in the dictionary. You have been doing that and doing that for quite some time. And now you're going to do it in a different way. I'm thinking about perhaps maybe some animosity you have for our friends up north, and you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to take it out on you.
Oh, well, you know, they don't got me beating up nobody this time. I'm just going to be there to make sure everything go over smoothly. You know, if Canada get out of hand, then I step up and, you know, put some smacks down on some people. But I'm just there in
It's just so funny when you say SmackDown, even I start to get a little nervous, and I'm sitting on this side of the camera. So I can only imagine how it is when you're dealing with other folks. I absolutely love this. I mean, this gives folks an opportunity to check out, well, let's just say a friendly match between the U.S. and Canada. Can you tell me how it all came to be?
Well, you know, Canada and the U.S. is not seeing eye to eye, so why not bring a fun way to bring us back together? Because I think we should leave the politics to the politicians, and us the people. We don't have to be mad at each other over what's going on with the politicians.
Hi guys. Good afternoon, everyone. It is such a pleasure to see so many beautiful faces in this room and so many future leaders. Hi, Eloise, you look so cute back there. I'm so excited to host this briefing today in honor of National Bring Your Kids to Work Day, and it's great to see so many future leaders here. Welcome to the James S. Brady Briefing Room. My name is Caroline Levitt, and I am the White House Press Secretary for President Donald J. Trump. He is the 45th and now the 47th President of the United States. My job at the White House is to communicate the President's message to the American people and to answer questions from journalists who work in this building every day, many of whom are your moms and your dads. Now, they ask me some pretty good questions, but I'm sure you will all have excellent questions to ask me yourselves. So before we open it up to questions today, I will give you a very short update on what the President is working on today. Earlier this morning, President Trump traveled to Capitol Hill to meet with members of the House of Representatives to talk about the one big, beautiful bill that we are trying to pass through Congress. The President is now back at the White House where he is taking meetings, and later this afternoon he will be making an announcement from the Oval Office with our Secretary of Defense. He's in charge of our military, Pete Hegseth. So I want to thank all of you for coming today. It's great to have you here at the People's House, and you have some very special parents who perform a very special job. And we are here to make America great again, and we live in the best country in the history of the world, and we are all very blessed to be here. So with that, thank you. I am happy to take some of your questions. And why don't you start us off, beautiful little girl? Go ahead.
What's your question for Mr. Trump?
She's thinking very hard about it.
You can ask it. You can ask it. She wants to know if Donald Trump likes to give hugs.
Oh, does he like to give hugs? I think he does. I have seen him give many hugs to children and his family and our beautiful First Lady. So yes, I do think he likes to give hugs. You're welcome. Emily, would you like to ask a question?
Yes. What is the funnest part about your job and the hardest part about your job?
Wow. Well, that is definitely a very good question. I think the most fun part about my job is doing things like this with all of you in the briefing room and answering so many great questions. I think the hardest part of my job is also doing things like this in the briefing room and answering all of these questions. And reading the news is a big part of my job every day. I wake up and read the newspaper and watch the news and listen to all of the things that your parents are reporting on in the news. And that's a big part of my job every day. Frankie, go ahead. What is President Trump's favorite food? Well, President Trump loves a lot of different foods, but I think his favorite is probably steak. I've had steak with him on many occasions, and he likes to eat a big, beautiful steak. Do you like steak, Frankie? Yes? Okay. Jack, nice to see you. I like your hat. You're welcome. Would you like to ask a question?
What's the state of the border?
What's the state of the border? I can assure you the border is the most secure it has ever been in the history of our country. And I think your dad works for the Homeland Security Council, so that's a very apropos question, and your dad's doing a great job securing the border. Hazel Jane, what a beautiful name. Would you like to ask a question? Okay.
Actually, can you come back to me?
Sure, I can come back to you. I'd be happy to. Bobby Lynn?
How many people has he fired?
How many people has he fired? Thus far, actually, we have not had anyone fired with the exception of one individual who did leave their job. But we have a great team here so far, so good. Thank you for the question. Yes, little man. Is that your mommy? Your mommy is a great journalist. What's your question?
What's Donald Trump's favorite ice cream? He wants to know.
Ooh. I have seen the president eat ice cream sundaes before with chocolate sauce and some toppings too. Raise your hand if you like ice cream sundaes. It's a very popular policy position to have. Yes, very good. Dario, would you like to go?
What is the president? If the president had a superpower, what would it be?
Wow. If the president could have a superpower, what would it be? That is a very good question. I think if he had a superpower, it would be to just snap his fingers and solve all of our country's problems just like that, because he likes to get things done very quickly, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Like today, he had to go to Capitol Hill to convince people to vote for his one big beautiful bill. I bet if he had a superpower, he would snap his fingers and get it passed immediately, but life doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Go ahead, buddy.
What is Donald Trump's favorite soccer player?
Favorite soccer player? You know, I don't know the answer to that. It's a very good question. I will check in with the president and get back to you. How's that sound? But I know he likes soccer and he likes all sports. Go ahead.
Probably the country like each week.
Does he leave the country each week? No, he doesn't. We left the country last week and we went on a long trip to the Middle East. Very far away, but we have some plans to leave the country later this year, but most weeks he's right here at the White House working very hard. Nora, go ahead.
Which is Donald Trump's favorite president besides himself?
It's a good question, because it would be probably himself. No, I think that perhaps he would say George Washington. I know he speaks very highly of George Washington, who was, of course, the first president of our great country, and he has his big, beautiful portrait hanging in the Oval Office above the fireplace. Good question. Go ahead. You look very professional and beautiful.
Thank you so much. What's it like, for you, I have a question for you. What is it like balancing a baby and your job as the press secretary as your age?
Sure. It's a very good question, and my baby is here with my mother. As you can see, he does not know what's going on. But it is a challenge every day, but it's also a blessing to have this opportunity and to be a mom. So you have to learn to prioritize your time and lean on your support system, which is my mother and my husband and my family and friends. And you can do it. You just have to work very hard. Yes.
Hi, my name is Harceli Victoria. My mom is Sariana Veras.
Oh, nice to meet you.
My question is, as press secretary, as the youngest press secretary, what advice would you give to young girls like me who want to achieve their dreams?
It's a great question, and you're so beautiful. My best advice would be to work as hard as you possibly can and just pursue every opportunity that opens up and is given to you, and just work as hard as you can.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Behind you. Yeah.
What is Donald Trump going to do about climate change?
What is Donald Trump going to do about climate change? Well, that is a very good question. The president cares very much about our environment. He says all the time he wants to have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, the cleanest environment for the world. He also cares very much about our energy independence and ensuring that we can keep the lights on in our homes at a very cheap rate. So we want to make energy here in the United States because we do it cleaner and better than everyone. So I think that's how the president would answer that question. You're welcome. Go ahead.
What is your favorite country that you've been to before?
What is my favorite country I've been to before? Oh, wow. That's a very good question. Well, I've been to many countries. I lived in Italy for a few months to study, but I very much enjoyed our trip last week to the Middle East, where the president went to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, and they were 3 beautiful countries. We'll take a couple more questions. To the back, that beautiful high hand. Go ahead.
What pets did Donald Trump have when he grew up and also right now?
What was that, buddy?
What pets?
What pets?
Did Donald Trump have when he grew up and also right now?
Well, he doesn't have any pets right now. I don't know if he had any pets when he was growing up. I'll have to check with him and ask, but there's no pets at the White House right now, except for our great canine Secret Service dog friends that are here to protect us. Hazel Jan, did you remember your question?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
What's the president's religion?
What's the president's religion? The president is a Christian and he believes in Jesus. Yes? In the back?
What did the president do today?
What did the president do today? President was very busy today. He went to Capitol Hill earlier today, and then he's here back at the White House, and he's doing meetings, and then he's going to do a big announcement at 3 o'clock where all of your moms and dads will be able to ask him questions directly. Go ahead, buddy. What was that, buddy? How much candy does he eat a day? A good amount. A good amount of candy, yes. He likes pink Starburst and Tootsie Rolls. Yes, buddy, go ahead. We'll take 2 more.
What's the president's favorite order at McDonald's?
President's favorite order at McDonald's. He loves McDonald's hamburgers and French fries. Who doesn't? They're good. In the back. Go ahead, bud.
Your least favorite news outlet?
My least favorite what?
News outlet.
I could tell you're a staff kid, not a journalist. Did someone say ABC? Honestly, it depends on the day. Go ahead, honey.
What is President Trump's favorite room in the White House?
Favorite room in the White House? I think his favorite room in the White House is definitely the Oval Office because it's so beautiful and he has decked it out in gold. It's now MAGA gold in there. Yes, go ahead, one more.
What's his favorite child?
That is a very controversial question, and I am not going to answer it. I know he loves all of his children very much, and they're all great kids. Some of them were here yesterday. We'll do one more to the little girl in the back behind you. Yes.
Who's your favorite president?
Who's my favorite president? Well, that's a good question to answer. Donald Trump. Thank you guys so very much. It's good to see all of you. Thank you for coming. We'll see you later. You're welcome.
All right, how cool was that? All things cuteness at the White House as Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt answers questions with regard to bring, or shall I say, take our sons and daughters to work day. According to the White House Press Secretary, the president enjoys steak and likes an ice cream sundae from time to time. Perhaps the most pressing question, what happens to be the president's favorite candy? To which she answered, pink Starburst and Tootsie Rolls. We'll take a quick break, guys. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Question: what do you get when you mix steel chairs, plenty of smack talk, and a few suplexes here and there? Oh, of course, you can't forget about the differences between U.S. and Canada. Settled the old-fashioned way. Try the official Border Brawl. Yes, you heard me say it, the Border Brawl. It's the live international wrestling super spectacle, and the event is all set to take place May 25th, beginning at 5 p.m. at the Niagara Falls Convention Center on the Canadian side of the border. By the way, did I mention it's going to feature a number of superstars, including this guy you see right here, UFC's Quentin Rampage Jackson, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, my friend, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Good to see you too.
I got to tell you, man, when it comes to, let's say, kicking butt, I think your name should be right next to that in the dictionary. You have been doing that and doing that for quite some time. And now you're going to do it in a different way. I'm thinking about perhaps maybe some animosity you have for our friends up north, and you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to take it out on you.
Oh, well, you know, they don't got me beating up nobody this time. I'm just going to be there to make sure everything go over smoothly. You know, if Canada get out of hand, then I step up and, you know, put some smacks down on some people. But I'm just there and
It's just so funny when you say SmackDown, even I start to get a little nervous, and I'm sitting on this side of the camera. So I can only imagine how it is when you're dealing with other folks. I absolutely love this. I mean, this gives folks an opportunity to check out, well, let's just say a friendly match between the U.S. and Canada. Can you tell me how it all came to be?
Well, you know, Canada and the U.S. is not seeing eye to eye, so why not bring a fun way to bring us back together? Because I think we should leave the politics to the politicians, and you know, us the people. You know, we don't have to be mad at each other over what's going on with the politicians. So I think this is a fun way to bring our brothers on the other side of the border, you know, and us back together.
Yeah, Rampage, it's no secret. When it comes to you, and I'm talking about YOU, my friend, you are known for your knockout power, your relentless aggression, but most of all, I would argue, is your charisma. And I think that's probably why they said, hey, when we got to get the right guy, they picked you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you with those kind words. You know, I've been doing this sport for a long time, and I love what I do. But sometimes, you know what I'm saying, you kind of forget, you know, why you do things. You know, I'm a big kid. If it's something fun, I'm going to bring it and have fun. But, you know, you can't forget why you start doing things. So I appreciate the kind words, brother.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate what you're doing as well, and that's giving back in a major way. And what do I mean by that is that all of this will benefit the Wounded Warrior Project, a nonprofit that really supports injured veterans and service members in their journey. Why was that near and dear to your heart?
Well, you know, a lot of people sacrifice a lot for our country, and you know, a lot of people, you know, been hurt and injured. And we should honor those people and help them out in the way we can. All of us, you know, they injured themselves for our freedom. So let's help them out. Let's lift them up in the way we can.
Yeah, and that exactly will take place yet again as we watch it right live on TV, May 25th, 5 p.m. It's at the Niagara Falls Convention Center. We call it Border Brawl. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Rampage, but a little birdie whispered in my ear that both President Trump and the Canadian Prime Minister have been invited to, let's just say, settle their friendly differences in the octagon, ring, cage, whatever you want to call it. That would be so cool if that were to happen.
That'd be cool. I would love for them to show up and get in the ring and go toe-to-toe, and I'll be Trump's backup if he needed.
Well, in that case, I'll be the third backup, watching, if you will. Folks that want to check it out, how can they go about to do so, my man?
Well, it's going to be Sunday, May 25th. It's going to be live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Zone 5. So it's going to be free. So you guys go check it out. It won't cost you a thing.
Absolutely. By the way, free happens to be my favorite F-letter word behind UFC, in this case, Quentin Rampage Jackson joining us right here on the Live Zone. I truly enjoyed this, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So, question for you. When you think of inflation, what are you thinking of? Perhaps it might be putting a strain on people's finances, but it's not dampening their summer plans. Get this. In fact, some 82% of Americans now plan to travel this summer, and 42% expect to take more than one trip. The question is, where in the heck are they going? Where's the best place to go? Well, you are about to know. I'm pleased to say that I'm joined with our guy, Chip Lupo, with Wallet Hub, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, as we discuss all things with regard to summer destinations, the best places to visit. And with that, I say welcome to Mr. Lupo. Always good to see you, Chip. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Guy. Good to be here.
All right, so it's hard to believe that we're talking about summer already, especially the way it feels right here today in D.C. It's kind of chilly today, but I got to say I'm really happy about this Wallet Hub study that you all conducted with regard to best places to visit this summer. You know what I'm going to start with, Chip, and that is, first of all, the criteria you all looked at in order to make this happen.
Right. But first, before we do that, let me just follow up on what you had mentioned earlier about this boom in travel. I think what we're seeing is still a residual effect from COVID. People are wanting to get out more, and it's like they're traveling and hoping to not ever be in a situation where they're cooped up. I still think that this is a follow-up from that surge that we saw post-COVID, where people were just traveling anywhere they wanted to go. Now, as far as this study goes, what we did, guys, is that we compared 100 metro areas across 6 categories: travel costs and hassles, local costs, attractions, weather, activities, safety. We applied 41 metrics to that, and those run everything from cost of cheapest flight, number of attractions, average price of two-person meal. And we crunched the numbers, and I'll let you segue into
all right, well, we crunched them in a major way, Chip. I got to tell you, I've seen the report thus far, and I'm very excited about, well, the place we all call home, at least the people that are surrounding me right now. In this case, the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., number 3 on the list.
Right, and that's good news for you, because if you want to travel, you don't have that very far to go. It's right there in your backyard. Yeah, Washington, D.C. did very well in our study, 3rd overall out of the 100 metro areas. What it has going for it, obviously, there's plenty of attractions in D.C., so that was a good thing. Travel costs and hassles, they actually did, let's throw out the traffic along the Beltway aside, but travel costs and hassles, good airport numbers. It's pretty easy to get direct flights in and out of major cities from Washington. You may pay a little bit more, but the access is good. And again, you can get some pretty good direct flights out. Weather, pretty solid, particularly as we're entering into the unofficial start of summer, which begins pretty much on Memorial Day. So across the board, all good numbers. However, what probably kept Washington, D.C. from grabbing one of those top 2 spots, as you might guess, it's the local costs. And those include things such as, obviously cost of living comes into play, pretty low numbers there, price of an average two-person meal,
yeah, well, Chip, I'm telling you that I eat out a lot, and it's expensive. That's why I eat alone, my friend. I just think, yet again, though, it's really cool to know that the nation's capital is highlighted in a major way here. And I guess I would be remiss and or not fair if we didn't highlight the others. And we're talking about the top 2. And I was really surprised about number 2, which happens to be Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta actually does have. Have you ever been? Have you ever traveled at all in and around Atlanta, Guy? Have you?
Well, yeah, from time to time, but not as of late.
Yeah, now Atlanta, what it has going for it, there is a lot of attractions. If you've ever been to Centennial Park, where it came about as the '96 Olympics, there's a great aquarium there. And of course, the ballpark's out in the suburbs now, but Coca-Cola Museum is there. There's a lot of civil rights history there in Atlanta, so there's a lot of good attractions. Airfare, if you don't mind the congestion getting in and out of the airport there, flights, you can get a lot of direct flights there. And as we mentioned, a lot of diversity and attractions. One thing interesting about Atlanta, if you're into the clubs and into bar hopping, has one of the last call times in the country at 4 a.m.
I absolutely love that. Just make sure you drink responsibly. We'll end with this, Chip, and that is numero uno goes to none other than the beautiful city of Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando is the best area for summer travel. It's got its attractions, of course, that, the big theme park there with the mouse and the duck that everyone seems to be familiar with. Flights in and out of Orlando are pretty ample as far as, direct flights and pretty affordable. Reasonably low nightly rates for 3-star hotel rooms. I imagine, though, they'll probably start peaking a little bit once we get into the summer, but for the most part, quality hotels. There's a prevalence of other attractions, water parks, boat tours, coffee shops, all of the popular venues. And it's actually in Florida, even the place in Orlando, it's still pretty affordable.
Yeah, well, yet again, I love it because it's all things Mickey Mouse. So that's really cool. In the meantime, we'll celebrate all things with regard to Washington, D.C., yet again ranked number 3 on Wallet Hub's list of best summer travel destinations. Chip, it's always good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the Live Zone, my friend.
My pleasure, guys. We'll talk again soon. Look forward to it.
Guys, we'll take a quick break. On the flip side of that break, the latest surrounding P. Diddy. Yes, the sex crimes trial continues. We'll get you the latest next, right here on the Live Zone. Back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, now to the sex trafficking trial of embattled rapper Sean Diddy Combs. Yesterday, Dandy Decane member Dawn Richard continued her testimony. The singer told the jury that she witnessed Combs beat his ex-girlfriend Cassie. She added the mogul then told her and another woman who witnessed the attack that they would, quote, go missing if they told anyone about it. The former friend of Cassie also mentioned she was attacked by Combs as well, which ended the pair's friendship. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more, hey, our guy is back, Mr. Eric Faddis, trial attorney extraordinaire, back here on the Live Zone. Eric, always good to see you, sir. Welcome back to the show.
With you, guy.
All right, so it's been a busy day. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can tell you what I watched and/or it was made privy to up until this show started about a half hour ago with regard to this segment. But I know prosecutors early on argued whether or not Cassie's mom could testify that back in 2011, Sean Diddy Combs demanded she pay him $20,000 for money he spent on Cassie when he learned that she was romantically involved with Kid Cudi. A lot of back and forth here, Eric.
Yeah, Whether that happened or not, and whether it's right or wrong, who cares with respect to this trial? This is a very serious trial for sex trafficking and for RICO charges and some, financial dispute between allegedly between Diddy and Casaventura's mother on the basis of some alleged infidelity. I don't see how it goes to any of those charges, and I just don't see why it would matter and why they'd waste the jury's time with it.
Yeah, all right. Well, we can also talk about Diddy's assistant, in this case his former assistant, I should make mention of, by the name of Mr. David James. Apparently took to the stand and said that Combs is an important a person in his life. He also stated that, well, he detailed several occasions where he said he supplied Combs' friends with drugs. When pressed about what happened with Suge Knight, which that actually caught my attention, obviously the music mogul that is currently behind bars as well, he stated he had an encounter with Mr. Suge Knight outside of a restaurant. He then returned, told Diddy. Diddy then returned with guns in tow to then address Mr. Suge Knight as well. However, he was gone by then. I'm telling you, it's a lot to digest here, Eric. And so with that being said, what was the prosecution trying to paint?
I think here the prosecution is getting into evidence they believe supports the RICO charge, the racketeering charge, where they're saying Bad Boy Entertainment was a criminal enterprise and was engaging in crimes in association with that criminal enterprise. So they put on his assistant, Diddy's assistant, who is, associated with Bad Boy Entertainment, who's talking about this criminal activity regarding drugs, alleged assaults, possible extortion, that kind of thing, to begin laying the groundwork for a conviction on the RICO charge later. That they've got to bring some more evidence than what they have so far, but this is the beginning of it.
All right, and so let's now talk about the cross-examination. In this case, we know that Mr. David James was asked if he was granted immunity for his testimony. The purpose of that?
Yeah, so that's a common tool that prosecutors can use. Essentially what it looks like is they go to somebody who might have engaged in criminal activity, but they're targeting somebody else. And so they say, hey, man, we will offer you immunity, meaning we will not criminally prosecute you for whatever you tell us, so long as you are complete and honest, and so long as you cooperate with our prosecution against the head honcho here, Diddy. And so that is the type of arrangement that is referred to in talking about immunity.
All right. So, Eric, I got to ask you, what's your biggest takeaways thus far? I mean, obviously, I know we are now in week 2. Cassie has actually taken to the stand and then has left since then. I believe spent a large amount of hours actually on the stand, 4 days in all, if I can recall. Then we have, well, on the other side, Sean Diddy Combs, who continues to bring his Bible into the courtroom, in essence, show heart signs to not only the jury members, but we were told perhaps the parent or one of the parents of his attorneys. Any big takeaways for you?
For me, of course, Cassie's testimony was central to this case. It was graphic and harrowing at times, where she claims that she was sexually assaulted, physically assaulted, and everything else. On the flip side, though, in leading up to this trial, there was a lot of statements about, people being drugged and these elaborate, massive orgies involving celebrities and everything else. The prosecution has kind of fallen short on expectations when it comes to the grandeur of kind of how they characterize what happened as compared to what people have said in court. In court, they've essentially said these have been threesomes. Cassie admitted to voluntarily taking drugs at times. And so really the evidence has sort of deviated from the impression that many folks had going into this.
Wow. Saying one thing is one thing, but actually the proof is in the pudding. That's another. In this case, to your point, I guess the prosecution has yet to prove that. We do know that we've heard something about a Louis Vuitton bag to which Diddy would allegedly carry his drugs inside, no less than $10,000. That bag was with him at the time of his arrest. It was discovered inside his hotel room. Yet again, what relevance does this have with the case?
It's a little hard to say because the prosecution hasn't connected the dots yet. Now, they still have a lot of time. They still have a lot of witnesses, and they may very well do that, connect the dots. But, this expensive bag with drugs, it might appear unsavory. It might appear shady to folks. But is it evidence of sex trafficking? Is it even evidence of RICO or some underlying criminal offense? That's arguable at this point. The prosecution's really got to do some more work to connect these dots for the jurors.
All right. right, and that's, I guess we'll end with that, Eric, and that is if you happen to be in that jury or in that courtroom right now, how do you think the jury would vote? I know you don't have a crystal ball, and perhaps you don't do that, but it seems to me you're saying the prosecution has fallen short.
In my impression, at least so far, the prosecution has not met what is an extremely high burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the highest burden in the criminal justice or in the entire justice system. That being said, there is a lot more time, and I think they're getting pretty darn close on the charges regarding interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution. I think that one they pretty well shored up. Now, that is probably the least severe charge of all the charges Diddy is facing.
All right, very interesting. We'll continue to follow all things Diddy. In the meantime, this is Mr. Eric Faddis, trial attorney extraordinaire, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, sir.
Always a pleasure.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Does this sound familiar? Road trip. Yes, that's exactly what's going to take place this upcoming Friday. It's National Road Trip Day. And of course, with road trips, hopefully comes warm weather, longer sunny days, and great road trips all mixed into one. Did you know that according to a new survey from Pilot Travel Centers and Camp Spot, more than 90% of Americans say they are planning at least one pop-up escape this summer? Yes, how cool is that? But don't let me tell it. That's why I have my next guest joining me. I'm referring to Miss Carrie Irons, Vice President of Brand Marketing at Pilot, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Miss Irons, good to see you and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I got to tell you, when I saw the word road trip, I immediately got excited. I don't really have as much time to do it nowadays, but in years past, oh my gosh, just so much fun. Not only do I get to learn myself better, but dear God, those that I'm traveling with.
Yes, definitely. And we're seeing that as a trend this summer for sure.
So let's start with the survey. What are drivers telling you this summer?
So what we're hearing is exactly what you said. You know, this trend towards these quick trip getaways, they're 1 to 3 days. We're calling them pop-up escapes. So when we talked to drivers this past week, they were talking about 90% of them are planning these escapes at least one time this summer. And what we're seeing is it's pretty close to home. They're about 200 miles. So they're not going far. So it is really about getting in the car and going. And it's more about this journey in between, the space in between, and of course the destination. But a lot of it is what you've talked about, like it's getting in the car and it's having those conversations and getting to know the people that you're traveling with.
I am so glad you said no more than 200 miles. I thought maybe it was an age thing because I'm getting older now, but if it's more than 200 miles, I'm not doing it. I'm flying. I just can't do it anymore. So it's really cool to see that other Americans, in essence, are following suit. I'm curious, what other trends did the survey unveil?
Yeah, so they talked a lot about this idea of finding hidden gems around every corner. So that was interesting to us. It was also about what you talked about, like connecting with people. So I've got 2 teenage boys. We're sitting and staring at each other every night at dinner, but for some reason we get in a car and we start to talk, and it's pretty awesome. Okay, we are fighting over the aux to do our music, so I do get to hear songs I can't unhear, but we're having a great time. So that's a big part of it. The other part of it is just the wallet, right? So when you're only gone for a couple of days, we're hearing that around $500 is a sweet spot, and that's what people are looking to spend. So you put those things together, and that's what we're expecting that to explode this summer.
Yeah, I remember traveling with my uncle, and for the most part, he was supposed to drive, but it ended up being my mom. So what did he do? Sleep the entire way. And he snores. Oh my gosh, I couldn't hear by the time we got to our final destination. And so with that being said, I really needed a more enjoyable trip. So do tell, what are some of the things that we all can do to have an enjoyable trip?
Well, I don't know if I can help you with the snoring part, but what I can say is that while people want the spontaneity and the flexibility, we're all busy trying to cram something in. They really want a one-stop shop. So it's all about convenience. So travel centers like Pilot, that's what we do. So you can fuel up, you can fill up on your favorite snacks, you can get a clean restroom, you can have a rest, grab a bite, grab drinks, and get back on the road. So we're all about fueling up, filling up, and making most of your miles. And that's what came through. 84% said they really want this convenience. So while they're on their way, be intentional with those stops so you make sure that you don't get grumpy people, grumpy kids that are starving or need a restroom break. So that's we would definitely recommend that along the way.
You just made mention of the travel centers, which by the way, I love. They happen to be used by millions of travelers nationwide. But with those, well, guess what? There's ways in which one can save money, and I'm hoping you can share with us just how that can happen.
Yeah, so definitely. So we have 900 travel centers across the United States, and we highly recommend before you hit the road to download our app, the Pilot app, because you unlock savings just like what you said. We get 10 cents off every gallon. That's running on our app right now. We will have savings on fuel all summer long. We're also going to have savings on food, snack combinations, buy one, get one drinks. So there's always something going on because travel season is like, that's our Super Bowl. So 100 days of summer, we want to make sure that we're covering our guests and getting drivers the value that they seek.
All right, pop question, because I'll tell you my answer first. Your favorite snack? For me, it happens to be potato chips, salt and vinegar, by the way. I'm curious. You have a favorite snack while road tripping?
Okay, that's a good one. I love M&Ms. I'm classic, so I just M&Ms and then salty. So I'm going to go for probably popcorn, and then I might drop the M&Ms in the popcorn. Depends, but that's usually my go-to.
I knew you were cool.
Yeah,
I just knew it. With the upcoming busy travel season, I'm curious, is there anything in particular one should prepare for?
Well, I think the best thing you can do outside of downloading the app is just make sure that you've checked all your fluids before you get in the car. You've got all your aux cords, you're ready to go. I also think it's about making sure you know where you're going to stop along the way, but just also there's something freeing about having your hand out the window and the music rolling. So really that's the best thing. And also part of it is we have 900 centers and we're looking for great team members to join. So we're hiring over 7,500 people to join our team. We've got 1.2 million drivers coming into our stores every day. We expect that number to get greater. So we're looking for, we call them journey makers, that they get you. They want to make sure that you feel fueled up and filled up and get you back on the road. So that's a big part of how we're planning for this summer.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. What else can one do, I should say, to really celebrate family, friends, and have fun when so many of us are just stuck on our phones all the time? Why not enjoy a nice road trip? And perhaps you could do it on National Road Trip Day, which happens to be this upcoming Friday. Folks that want to find out more information about you and or the organization, how would one go about to do so?
So they can visit us at pilotflyingj.com or go to one of our 900 locations, and we would love to see you out here.
Absolutely awesome. Ms. Irons, I truly appreciate this. Yet again, you are the Vice President, Brand Marketing at Pilot, and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Germ Zone. Oh, I'm sorry.
More like pollen zone, okay?
The Fox 5 Live Zone. This is Brittany Alexander. She was just coughing before we signed on.
I mean, it's that time of year, okay? The pollen. Or it could have been a product of a night out. You know what I mean? You never know
or
here.
It could be that cologne I'm wearing. Always good to see you, my friend.
Always good to see you, Guy. We had so much fun yesterday on the Take That too.
Yeah, we got to do more of that.
We definitely do, and lots of topics to continue to talk about, right?
Yeah. Well, let's jump into it. In this case, we have our version of Celebrity Dish, and we're going to kick it off with a gentleman that perhaps, well, just about everybody loves. Maybe not after this. Denzel Washington was caught getting into a tense exchange, if you will, with a photographer at a festival recently. Now, this video was from the New York Post while on the red carpet for the premiere of his new film, Heist to Lowest.
Ooh.
Well, the photographer grabbed Denzel's arm to get his attention. The actor repeatedly screamed, "Stop!" The cameraman then laughed in his face before grabbing Denzel again. When the actor tried to walk away, that's when Denzel snapped Brittany and yelled at the man repeatedly, telling him to stop. What the heck is going on here?
Look, I just said if that paparazzi gonna nuck, Denzel is gonna buck, okay? You mess around, you're gonna find out he is not the one to be played with. But, you know, we were talking about this earlier, like, celebrities, they're humans too.
Yep.
They're people. There's something called personal space, having a bubble. And then especially after you tell somebody to not do that the first time, then they do it again, okay, you're playing with me now.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Denzel for having to, you know, show some of those old characters from his movies pop out on that red carpet last night. You know what I mean?
The sense of entitlement. Who in the heck is this guy
Who
or
are
gal?
you? Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And to your point, I bet you that's not going to happen again.
Thank you. I mean, and the fact that even A$AP Rocky had to come up and kind of help de-escalate the situation even further because the guy, they just kept going back and forth, just shows you that Denzel was not in the wrong in this case. And also, he had a point, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you could take pictures of me, I'm letting you take a photo, but you don't need to be so close into my personal space and actually touch me physically.
It's called class, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Perhaps that
red carpet etiquette. Clearly, we got to teach them a thing or two, right?
Well, perhaps you and I need to be on that red carpet
Thank you. Yes, that sounds about right. Try to be in cons.
You know who else I would love to see on the red carpet? None other than Brandy and Monica.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, together, right? On the red carpet?
How
Yes.
cool is that? We're looking at video from more than 20 years ago since the hit song, you remember that, The Boy Is Mine was released. Brandy and Monica, as you just stated, perhaps, maybe, soon, can it be, reportedly set to go on tour together. Details have yet to be announced, but according to sources, the tour is set to take place this fall. That
love
would be
this.
amazing.
Yes, the little millennial 90s girl in me is literally has dreamt for this day to happen because Versus was a little rocky, okay, during that time. But this is so exciting to see them come together to squash their beef and to perform both legendary catalogs in itself.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see them perform The Boy Is Mine live. That's going to be fun.
It was always interesting to me, first of all, why they had a beef, and it was as if we, the fans, pitted them against each other.
Yeah.
You
There
know?
probably was a little media marketing play. It probably worked out for both of their, you know what I mean, their brands at the time. But yeah, we did play a part in that. And then when the song The Boy Is Mine came out, it just made it easier for there to be a beef, you know? And they weren't even really talking about a boy that they were sharing with each other. I mean, I don't think so. Hold on now. Is that a real song, Brandy and Monica? Is this off of true life experiences? That we'll have to find out.
That may be additional breaking news. I wonder, though, so will egos play a role? What I mean by that is somebody has to open.
Yeah, oh, goodness. Here we go.
How's that going to work?
They might as well open with The Boy Is Mine, okay? Just do it together, ladies,
That's a good
okay?
point. And then switch up every song.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Something like that. That would be, okay.
So
just,
we got
just
the
call
red
me
carpet
EP
down.
Britney, okay?
Now we got the EP down.
Exactly. We just need to start our own thing, clearly.
Let's move on to Jennifer Lopez, apparently being sued by a paparazzi photographer for, what is this, posting photos of herself on Instagram and X. She posted the photos back in January after a Golden Globes pre-party without paying to license the images. The oversight landed her in the middle of a copyright lawsuit from the photographer and the agency Backgrid. What are you thinking about this?
I mean, it's so funny, right? Like Denzel just booked out a paparazzi person. We're like, if it was the other way around, the paparazzi would have probably sued Denzel, right? And in this case with J-Lo, that's what's going on. At the end of the day, whoever's taking the photo owns the photo. So I feel like J-Lo should have knew better. And also, she should have hired that photographer if she liked him so much. Because, I mean, she clearly posted the photo.
Yeah.
So you could at least give him credit in some way, since or form. But look, I mean, he has the right to do, you know, to take those actions because that is his property. So I don't know. Hopefully, if she gives credit, we'll all go away. I don't know. But at this point, it's J-Lo. He's trying to get some coins.
That's true.
Out of J-Lo.
And that's what I was about to make mention of. One thing's for sure, it didn't boil down to the money.
Yeah.
And perhaps she has so much money, who cares? You know, sue me.
Yeah, exactly. I'll pay you off tomorrow. She probably already settled it since we talked about this.
Has that ever happened to you? Has someone ever taken a picture of you and they posted it? Perhaps you didn't like it or you did?
All the time. But that's why I have like 10 Instagram photos right now on my Instagram page because I don't play, okay? You know, I really, when people take photos of me and they're right here, I try to be like, let me see that photo really quick because it's true. People don't really care about getting always the best version of you and what that is in your eyes. So yes, I'm sure you deal with that all the time too. Or just catching you when your mouth wide open or eating, like, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
For me, it's the filters. At one time I had lipstick on and something else by the time they were done with the filters.
Laughing. That is hilarious.
Which filter is that, by the way?
These filters are out of control. It sounds like a Snapchat filter,
Okay,
clearly. Shout out to Snapchat, though. Great filters still to this day, okay?
All right. Well, yeah, no filters for me. We'll leave it at that.
Ladies know what I'm talking about.
Just don't have me in a picture, guys.
Yes, I agree. And if you're going to take a picture of me and Guy, make sure it's good.
There you go. Amen to that. We'll end with this. In this case, we're talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, season 10 of the hit reality show is rumored to be gaining a new cast member and/or members.
That's juicy.
According to reports, Tia Glover and Angel Massey will now join the franchise. You know, I'm so out of it. I have no idea who these people are.
I can't lie. I don't think this was a good pick. Okay,
Really?
we'll just start with that because who are they? We're from the DMV. We know who's who, right?
Okay, here we go. Oh, it's right here in my notes. Angel Massey is a journalist. I should know that. Mom of two and married to retired NFL player Bobby Massey. Sources say the rumored housewives are already coming in hot. Tia, by the way, has already reportedly clashed with Stacey. So apparently there's beef.
There's already beef. Okay, time to get our popcorn.
Yeah. Would you do a reality TV show?
Honestly, I would.
Really?
Yeah, but I would definitely like to have a lot of control
Yeah.
over the narrative of it. But I'm here for it. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Because I think there needs to be a better DC reality show. There's so many cool people doing so many cool things. I think there'd be a fun way to do a twist on like who we are and especially outside in the community, but then also kind of storytelling with the other people that are from this area. I think DC deserves that, and I definitely, whoever's looking, would definitely be ready to be your star.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you definitely are already a star.
Oh, thank you.
I shot with Monique Samuels.
Okay, yes,
who was
love
on the Real
Monique,
Housewives
yes.
of Potomac, actually. And I remember after that, I think it was Love and Marriage, and we were shooting, and we did the shot, and she was interviewing for a job. And then they were like, no, we don't like it, do it over again. I'm like, I thought this was real.
Yeah, no, it's
And
not.
so we had to
It's
pretend,
scripted
hey,
reality.
nice to meet you again, you know?
Yeah, it's a little bit of acting in there for sure. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, you definitely want to capture those real moments. But sometimes you do have to kind of make sure there's an intention behind what you're shooting, right? But it's supposed to be really. I mean, we learned that during the Hills days on MTV for all my throwback reality show watchers. At the end of that season, they literally showed them basically being on set.
Wow.
That was like, what? I felt bamboozled in that moment. That's when I realized reality TV ain't all reality, okay? But good cast. I'm excited to see how this new season will be because I love all the Real Housewives in the franchise, so I'm excited for this one.
Well, there's one thing for sure, whenever you join us, we're never bamboozled. Brittany Alexander.
Big B will never bamboozle you.
Right here on the Live Zone. Always
Happy
good
Taco
to see you.
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And Tequila Tuesday.
Oh,
Thank
we
you
like
very
that
much.
one.
Hey, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Right back to the White House, that is. Taking a live look at the White House where partly cloudy skies for the rest of the day. Hey, by the way, earlier today, well, it happened to be all things surrounding Take Our Sons and Daughters to Work Day. Got a chance to see the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt answer a number of questions from a number of cute kids that happened to be at the White House as yet again President Trump and the rest of the nation celebrates Take Our Sons and Daughter to Work Day. Hey, also want to thank Mr. Chip Lupo. He stopped by to tell us that, well, according to Wallet Hub, D.C. happens to be top 3 with regard to best summer destinations. Hey, guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox Local app. The Take, coming up next, right here on Fox 5.